Tuesday, January 30th, 2023 at 9:33 a.m. Eastern Time, USA. This is my video journal. I'm Mitch Miller, and today I want to talk about a very simple concept. I'll try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. It's a concept that workers can manage themselves to a certain degree, at least. I believe that the future of capitalism, the future of government is direct democracy, management of workers, and I'll talk about the private sector, but where I see this deploying first is in the government sector. But if you think about it, workers don't want to do the work that other workers should be doing, right? So if you give them the tools and opportunity to review their coworkers, instead of management reviewing their performance, you actually allow the coworkers to review coworkers' performance, and they could give examples of times when they caught maybe a coworker sleeping on a pallet in the back, things like that. You might say that this wouldn't work because of unions and things like that, but I'll get into that in a minute. But you allow them to do a review and actually vote on whether to keep a worker or not. And in the private sector, I'll say this: when unions come into play, and this is the greatest fault of unions, it's not the union's fault. When people try to unionize in the private sector, management, the ownership of those companies that are trying to unionize, fire the organizers. They fire the union the people who are trying to unionize, as a way to squash the union from forming. This is a great mistake, I feel, because then unions, the first thing they do when they come into power is they negotiate, and they make it very difficult to fire someone. That because it's a self-preservation thing. You fired all these people while we were trying to create a union. Now we're going to make it very difficult for you to fire anyone. Then you get people who take advantage of that, don't do their work as efficiently or quickly as they should, and that drags down the business's profits, and can ruin a business and even put it under it. So what I would say is that we form a different union, a different style of union, where we want employee review of coworkers, and in return we won't make it as difficult to fire someone. So the ownership, if you're facing union organization, don't just fire those union people. Say, look, this is what we want. We won't fire you, but we want to enact this portal, this program, where employees can self-manage themselves to a certain degree, at least when it comes to firing and training and things like that. So, like I said, workers, if they see someone that's not doing their job, they're gonna find a way to report that in a way through this portal. It's not like ratting to the management, tattling to the management. This is an actual process so that we have the most efficient, best workers in our organization. And if somebody has a disability, if somebody has family issues they're taking care of, someone with coworkers will take that into account and kind of adapt in that way. But for the most part, if you're a healthy, young or middle-aged person, you're going to be expected to do the quality of work that's expected within a reasonable amount of time. Maybe it takes a month, maybe it takes 3 months to become fully trained, maybe it takes half a year to become fully trained. Though coworkers will take that into account and give you the opportunity, I believe, if they see potential in you. So it's kind of like profit sharing. If you have a company with profit sharing and this type of union situation, that would be the ideal situation for the workers. because they want to raise the profit and their share of the profit by having efficient workers. So that's what I would deploy if I undertake a type of union forming company, which I posted on my website, plotm.com, my idea for an environmental union company. And I'm thinking about writing more about it as part of those that newsletter that you can get every week, starting a union forming company dedicated to enacting this type. But what I want to talk about is deploying this. That's how we can see it in the private sector, but let's do it first. Let's make the government efficient first. So a lot of people get federal jobs, they get state jobs. They know they can't be fired unless they do something really crazy, really stupid. My example, my friend that works for his management in the IRS, lady was doing drugs, was half naked on the job site, stuff like that. And even then, it was hard to get her fired. So let's enact this voting process for workers so that we cut the bureaucrats, the people who are just milking the clock and not helping the people that vote that government into place as quickly and efficiently as possible. Now, the paperwork and stuff, that's starting to get reduced because of technology. Let's reduce the bureaucracy of the actual people and get some stuff done. So if government workers see that people aren't performing, they can vote as to whether that person is fired and loses their job. And we can work with the unions through the government to enact this so that they agree that if the working section, all the co-workers vote that person out, or a majority of the voters vote that person out, then that's due recourse or due authority to eliminate that person from the government. And they don't have to go through 3 different procedures just to get someone off the payroll. We can get them off much quicker with a vote. There can be examples in the review from coworkers. Hey, they filed this form wrong on purpose because they didn't want to deal with filling out this longer form. Things like that that we can figure out how to review. And when it comes to the authorities like police, government agents, law enforcement agents, maybe not use this system as intensely with them. What I've suggested in my Plot M book, or my book M, is that we have citizen review of encounters with law enforcement. I think this would improve law enforcement across the board. If when you get served a little citation, like you get a citation, there's a little link at the bottom, you put in a reference number. How was your experience with this officer? Did they explain what they were doing? Did they explain why they pulled you over? Did they explain why they wrote you the citation? Simple yes, no's, and then a comment section. And, this can be reviewed and taken it with a grain of salt, because most people are upset, frustrated with the police that they're getting a citation. But we can start to begin the process of citizen review of the authorities, since we don't have trial by jury anymore in this country, which is citizen review of the government, of the legislature. 12 people come for every infraction and say, why are we arresting people for this stupid thing? And then they write their government official and say, I don't want to get pulled out of work every month to sit on a jury for this stupid infraction. Stop, change the law so that we have we can't arrest this many people on a regular basis. Anyhow, that's my idea. It's a voting unionization type situation where ownership gives a little, the unions give a little, because we want an efficient business, but with profit sharing, obviously, and the motivation to have efficient workers will come from that share of the profit and make the whole business efficient because it's governed from within, and you still have management to make some decisions, but as far as reviewing the employees, that comes from co-workers and things like that. And let's enact this first in the government, see if we can make the government more efficient, more intelligent, hire people like me instead of bureaucrats, neutral parties like me into the government, so that you have some of the most intelligent people working there, because they're not trying to make millions of dollars a year. They just want to help as many people as possible. So that's my idea. Maybe in the coming months I'll start a union newsletter trying to form different type of union style, one that governs itself through direct democracy and one that demands these type of policies instead of, hey, we want to make it very difficult to get fired, and then we want these benefits and these things, safety concerns and things. Those are still good topics for unions, but it gets mired down, and the entire population of the union doesn't get to vote on these things. So we're going to transition to that, but that's my little idea. Push forward through the government unions first, and this would also allow you to anonymously report sexual harassment and other misconduct like that through this portal, through this online situation, so that we can get bad actors out of the government and get people that deserve those good paying jobs with pensions, even though I'm probably never going to get to enjoy a pension. Even if I start with 20 years, my body's probably going to degrade at the age of 60. So keep that in mind if you're on the fence as to whether to give me a good job or fund my programs. I'd rather get moving on them now while I'm capable. Thanks. Bye.